off clean in a GL whip. Kenny Red Flash with a turbo kick. Little Red, oh yeah, the name's on fire. Running up the road, taking dreams higher. 0 to 100, no time to stall. Every frame, every post, yeah, he does it all. From the streets to the screen, he's got that glow. Welcome to the ride, it's Lil Red, oh.
All right. Let me turn this down. All that racket. Hang on a second.
Red line dreams, we don't slow down.
All right. You're going to be live right now. I had to change it for a little bit. Yeah, my face is pretty red today. There's a lot of high wind today when I was outside, walking around a little bit today. But anyway, today I want to talk to you about something that's kind of it's really another one of these situations that just tears your damn heart up because you cannot understand what in the hell is wrong with these people. Okay, I'm tired of seeing people use this as an excuse as to why they take their children's lives. It is ridiculous. So, tell you what we're going to talk about over here. This is Lady, and she is in Texas. And you may have heard about this story, or you may not have. I'm not sure yet. But she has 4 kids. She's running a big scam that's all over the place. Hey, Cinderella, good to see you, girl. So glad to see you. We're going to talk about this lady who shot all 4 of her children, and she's trying to claim that she's mentally ill or the devil made her do it. You know, that some more of that goddamn garbage. But here's the real deal. Let's talk about the real deal. Actually, she's running a big scam, and I believe that her big scam was being looked at, and so she had to do something to make herself appear mentally ill, right? So what better way than to take your children's lives or to shoot your children, put them in the car, and then drive around with them for a little bit, and then stop at a damn gas station to call the police? You tell me, huh? All right. First thing we're going to do is read our disclaimer and get that out of the way, and then we'll move on with our show. And I hope you enjoy it. Thank you for coming in. I always appreciate your time. I really do. So hold on a second. We'll just read our disclaimer. We'll get going here. So this is our copyright notice. All third-party materials referenced, displayed, or discussed on this channel, including but not limited to audio recordings, video clips, photographs, documents, and written work, remain the exclusive property of their respective copyright holders, used as protected material. Little Red Zero incorporates limited excerpts of copyrighted content solely for the purpose of commentary, criticism, analysis, reporting, education, and public discussion. Such use is transformative in nature and is made in accordance with the principles of the Fair Use under 17 USC 107, no claim of ownership. Little Red Zero does not assert ownership over any third-party intellectual property. All rights to such materials are retained by the original and holders. Any use of copyrighted material is undertaken in good faith and without intent to infringe upon the rights of any other copyright owners. So let's get that out of the way. So let's go with that. So let me show you something really quick. This was on Law and Crime, and so we're going to show a little bit of this right now. I don't know if you're. Before I do that, first let me tell you about something I saw today. And you know, I question a lot of things. I always do. I can't just take what somebody tells me and accept it to be the fact. I have to go investigate it myself, or else I'm not going to say it. I'm not going to. But today I did see where Crime Time Buzz over there showed a picture, and albeit that it was provided 10 minutes after the fact, you know what? I think whoever provided that, I swear it is the only picture I've seen of this child since he's been missing that even remotely looks close enough that it could actually be him. She's going to do it live tomorrow, and she's going to, my face is sunburned. She's going to do a live tomorrow, and she's going to show this, I think, noon Eastern time. And I suggest everybody go and watch this because it's very, I'm going to give you a little sneak peek of it, and then we'll go look at the other people, okay? So hold on just a second, all right? Because I found this to be so interesting today. I could not believe what I was seeing. But anyway, here we go. Hang on a second. Let's see. Oh, come on now. Get my pooter up here working. This is from today that I saw it. I'm only going to give a little bit of it because she's going to show this tomorrow live, and I don't want to. I don't want to show it. Here we go. Here we go. Okay, guys. Now hold on. Now Let me share my screen so you can see what I'm seeing and tell me if you don't believe this is the only one I've seen that looks anything remotely close to Sebastian Wayne Drake Rogers, which the anniversary is coming up soon. Let me make this big. All right. Now, so this will be on a live tomorrow at noon on Crime Time Buzz. Look at that picture. Look at that face. I'm telling you, this is the only one. Cinderella, what do you think? Look at his little face right there. I wish you could make this bigger, but I'm not sure. I don't want to mess up my live screen. I don't know how. But please go watch Crime Time Buzz tomorrow. You know, I don't really talk about that much, but go watch this tomorrow and see what they have to say. These pictures have been turned into FBI, etc. I don't know, guys. To me, it's so close. But anyway, we'll move on to what our show is about. I just wanted to share that and ask y'all to go check that out tomorrow. Anyway, so. Screen. All right, guys. Sorry about that. Let me go to YouTube and pull up our other story that we're going to talk about tonight. And this lady, come on YouTube. It was really, really shocking. You know what I found out about her. I could not believe that such a thing could be happening. And I mean, okay. I don't remember her name right this minute, but I got to spell it right. Okay. Then calls the police from the gas station. Okay. Now this is going to be from this is going to be right here, and it is full. Now this is going to be full credit to Law and Crime. So I need to put this back over here. There you go, Law and Crime. All right, here we go, guys. Yeah, I know I messed myself up a while ago, but let's get back on it. So here we go. Listen to this for just a second. Texas mom shoots her 4 kids, says she had to kill them all. And she was on paternity court before. Here we go. Why? Ridiculous. Ridiculous.
Allegedly shooting 4 of her kids, killing 2 of them. What we're learning about her past from her time on paternity court to what she said about parenting just a couple of weeks ago.
Ridiculous.
We're on the case presented by Law and Crime. I'm Chris Stewart.
When you see these things, it just makes you sick, guys. It just makes you sick.
Before I get into what this mom allegedly has been saying on social media about parenting and her time on that reality television show, I want to break down with you the horrifying scene that law enforcement in Texas say they came upon on Saturday of last week. It was October 4th. Police say they were called to this gas station in Brazoria County, Texas. That's south of Houston. It was around 5 o'clock in the morning. The 911 caller, they say, was Oninda Romelis. Deputies said that they didn't know why they were responding to.
Oninda Romelis is her name. And that's right. She shot for all 4 of her children. She stops at a gas station. 2 of them are deceased in the back seat, and she's driving an expensive Tesla, not the low model, but an expensive Tesla. Okay, she lives in Porter, Texas. Okay, and she claimed to be this poor mom trying to raise these 4 kids by herself. Blah blah blah. But really, there's a big scheme going on. But let's keep watching.
This gas station, but when they arrived, they found that her 4 children were shot. They were inside the car. 2 children were dead, a 13-year-old boy and 3-year-old girl. 2 other children were injured. They are now in stable condition. They are 8 years old and 9 years old. Deputies say that it's unclear if Romelis fired the gunshots in this gas station's parking lot, or did she allegedly do it somewhere else? Surveillance video allegedly shows her getting out of the car, getting gas, talking on her phone before deputies arrive. Authorities say they believe the gunshots were fired inside the car, but other than that, a lot of this is still a mystery. At a news conference on Sunday, law enforcement would not share too much detail. Here's part of what they said per Fox 26 in Houston.
We've been burning the midnight oil on this ever since this dropped, right? So I can assure you we're looking into this.
But then we received the court documents that have shown what Romelis allegedly told detectives after they took her into custody. Now, according to these court records, Romelis was asked whether she wanted to continue talking with authorities, and she said yes. Now, at first, when she was asked why she called 911, she said she couldn't talk about it. But when she was asked again about calling 911, she allegedly said, quote, instead of them doing it to me, I'm going to do it to them. Then.
Now, these are children. We're talking about, I think the oldest was 13. I need to kind of remember this story the whole way. Onidia Romelis. So if you missed the first part, she was on a reality show. I mean, she's done all kinds of things, but what she's going to be most famous for is taking her children's lives and saying that she's crazy and that they made her do it. Just listen to this. It's really disgusting.
When the investigator asked, quote, do what? Romelis allegedly said, quote, kill them all. Romelis then said she didn't call 911. She allegedly said she called, quote, the devil. As Romelis continued talking, she said that she was ready to work, which detectives write in the court document that it just didn't make sense. Romelis did allegedly say that she had 4 children and said their names and their ages correctly. But when asked where they were, she allegedly said, quote, the devil. When asked what she meant by that, she said, quote, they're dead. And quote, because you can't take me without me taking you. Now, at their news conference, deputies would not discuss anything related to the custody of the children or the family situation involving these children before the shooting. But we have learned that the question of paternity with at least one of these children, it has been raised before. In fact, it was raised very publicly on a TV show called Paternity Court. The episode is still public on YouTube. Now, the episode was about learning who the father was of an 18-month-old boy. Now, it is unclear if that child is one of the victims.
Okay, after we watch this little part, we're going to go back and I'm going to find this Paternity Court and we're going to watch this. I find it amazing how you go from being on Paternity Court, I don't understand how people go from point A to point B and take their children's lives. Now, let me tell you another little thing about this lady right here. When they went to search her apartment, they found 32 different Social Security numbers, 32 different ones, and 48 different IDs. She was running a scheme out of her home in Porter, Texas, making fake IDs, etc., for people. And being paid cash, and just pretending to be this poor working mom that didn't have anything, but really she's over here being a big schemer. But let's keep going.
In this case, but his age does match up with the age of the 13-year-old who was killed. That boy found slumped over inside the car, according to deputies when they arrived at that gas station. Before I get back to this episode of On the Case, which is one of the most watched shows on YouTube, I need to stop and talk about our partner, Morgan & Morgan. We're talking about America's largest injury law. Wow.
All right, skip past this.
We also found an Instagram page that appears to show Romelis posting content as recently as September 27th. Now, this is the post on that day in September. The video has the caption, quote, "Mama gotta have a life too." And here's the caption on the post that reads, quote, "'Cause what it really do, you're not a bad B word if you're a terrible mother. To all my mamainas handling biz and did not handle biz this week, baby, go to happy hour, bleep them kids." Deputies say they are investigating the home where Romelis and her kids lived, which was more than an hour away north of Houston in Montgomery County, Texas. It is still unclear why Romelis and her children inside that vehicle were in the county south of Houston, again, an hour away Saturday morning when she called 911 allegedly. Romelis is now facing 2 counts of murder and 2 counts of aggravated assault with a deadly weapon. Bond is set at $5 million each for each murder count and $2 million for each aggravated assault count for a total
$14 million bond. They were serious with our $14 million bond. That's huge. But thank God she will not be able to come up with that money. Her ass is to stay in jail wherever she's at. Yeah, we might be saying some cuss words tonight because this case is another one that makes me angry.
Of $14 million. Law enforcement would not speculate on a motive in this case. We still don't know that. KHOU-TV is reporting that CPS has made contact with Romulus in the past, but the details of that interaction has not been made public. Now, as far as any sort of criminal record for Romulus, this mugshot is from 2022, and it was for an arrest in Georgia in Fayette County. It was related to a DUI, possession of marijuana, failure to maintain lane, and having an improper tag. Court records show that she pleaded guilty to the DUI and improper tag charges, and prosecutors decided not to pursue the 2 other charges she was facing. Joining us now to talk more about this from Texas is Anthony Asso, criminal defense attorney and a former assistant district attorney. Thank you for taking the time to be with us. I know this is an incredibly sad case.
You know what else it includes? What they always include. What is it? CPS. These cases always include some kind of CPS problem, right? Why? Here we go. Let's keep listening.
Just initially from what we've learned, and there isn't a lot from
there's
deputies,
not a lot about this case.
What do you just take away about the evidence that it seems that they have to this point?
Well, I think it's largely that they're relying on the 911 phone call, as well as probably interviews from the 2 children that survived the shooting, which, while eyewitness interviews are typically strong testimony, it's her own children. So I think that they're going to really want to work to build up more evidence that will corroborate the testimony of those 2 other children.
Yeah, and the 2 children who survived, I mean, they're both minors. How do you go about, I mean, from, the prosecution standpoint of making sure that you have a story that you could use in court, considering these kids are so young? I believe they're 8 and 9 years old who survived.
Well, you want to find, in addition to testimonial evidence, you're going to want to look for all the direct physical evidence that could corroborate what happened, right? So they're going to be looking at the shell casings on the scene. My understanding is that these shootings occurred at a gas station. So we're going to want to look for surveillance video to find out if there's any footage that will corroborate the child witnesses' statements. Because not only are they young witnesses, but they're also the children of the defendant in this case. And so in addition to all the emotional trauma that they're dealing with right now, when it comes down to time to potentially testify in some sort of trial setting, their emotions and feelings could be kind of up in the air.
She's being held on a $14 million bond. And I know in a lot of states, and typically you don't see bond that high.
No.
How does it work in Texas where someone could actually be
14 million.
And I know they broke it down with the 2 murder charges are $5 million apiece, and then the 2 aggravated assault charges with a deadly weapon, I believe it was, are $2 million apiece, bringing it to 14. How does that work in Texas?
Well, in just like any other state, Texas has to abide by the Constitution. So you can't use bail in order to oppress somebody, and everyone's entitled to bail. However, in Texas, if they put on a proof evident hearing, and I think we could anticipate that there could be a capital murder charge in this case. We don't have that much information yet, but in the event that Brazoria does file capital murder, and they did intend to seek death in this case, they could have a proof evident hearing and ultimately hold the defendant at no bond. But without doing that, and just on murder charges, she's entitled to bail. And I do think that that amount is high, so we'll likely see her defense attorneys file a writ in an effort to lower the bond. Still, I imagine that the bonds will be out of reach for her in these cases.
Because, and still, I mean, we haven't learned a lot about what exactly links her to this shooting. Deputies have said that they believe it happened in the car. They're still figuring out exactly where. They were asked about the murder weapon. It was unclear whether they actually have that. When it comes to a bond hearing in the short term, I mean, what would be the argument that a defense attorney could have to try and lower her bond? And also the other part of it is, what's the point of even lowering it if it would be an amount over $1 million that she might not be able to afford?
Sure. I think it's just, regardless, it's your responsibility as her lawyer to get the bond as low as possible in an effort to try and help her make that bond.
So big.
Putting together a defense is going to be a lot more successful if you're able to communicate with your client. And the reality is if your client is in custody, that's harder. It's harder to have communication with them. I think the arguments that the defense will likely make are that she's got no criminal history. And I think that they'll probably argue her financial means in this case. But with the facts, as far as from what we've seen so far, I think the prosecution will just rely on the facts, and it wouldn't surprise me if the judge.
Well, see, her financial means are very questionable because she, she's sporting over there, and we're not talking. That's not a fake Louis Vuitton bag she had on that table. That's a real one. She's over there driving a high-end Lexus. She's over there. She's running some scheme over there in Porter, Texas, selling fake IDs, etc. And she's making a lot of money. And I believe that she was also, but I can remember this all the story straight, also collecting benefits, of course. But we'll keep watching this, and then we're going to go look at some other things about her. But this is just, and the reason why she's claiming the devil, what do you think's going to happen? Well, the devil did it, or it's about, she's all this crazy crap, because the best thing, what works best in a law, in the court of law, well, I'm crazy, right? Remember, Letitia Stout just tried it. We've got all these people trying this over here. Even the Clancy lady, Lindsay Clancy, claiming that she had a postpartum psychosis. All right, here we go. Let's keep watching.
Didn't budge on the bail amount in this case.
That's ridiculous.
You read through some of the court documents, and she made some very bizarre, scary statements, saying things like her children are with the devil. She said, kill them all. On one hand, that could be very incriminating, but on the other hand, you would look and say that this isn't someone who maybe is in the right state of mind. How does the law see a statement like that of whether an insanity defense could be coming?
Yeah, Chris, so the law in Texas, when it comes to insanity,
basically thinks she's all that. Look at her. She thinks
you
she's
have
hot.
to establish that the person wasn't aware of the consequences of their actions. So they really couldn't process what they were doing at the time that the offense was committed. It's a really high standard, and you don't often see successful insanity defenses. They do occur, but it's definitely the exception to the rule. So I think statements like that are something that the defense at least would tip the defense off to explore in this case, especially when we're talking about first-degree murder charges or potentially capital murder, where a defendant faces life without parole in prison. The defense has to explore every single avenue, whether that's is she the person that actually committed the offense? Was she acting in self-defense, or did she do it, but was she insane at the time and unable to process what was going on? So I think we'll certainly see the defense explore that avenue in this case.
What would be the point where the defense could actually make that argument? Because it's one thing that she makes these statements in spur of the moment. I haven't seen anything that she's had any sort of history with mental health in the past. Maybe she has an undiagnosed disorder that could explain some of this activity. How does both the prosecution and defense kind of explore that and figuring out whether that would be a viable defense for her?
Well, the first line for the defense in this case is going to be obtaining an expert to have her evaluated and to look at the facts and look at the overall investigation in this case, because they're not going to be able to establish that.
I'm going to check and see if she has been released or if she's still there, because I don't think they had a bond reduction. I don't think her bond was reduced, but I can't quote that as a fact. But while we listen to this, I'm going to go see if I can see if she's had her bond reduced yet. Hang on, guys. Here we go.
She was acting out of insanity if they don't have an expert testify to that effect. You've got to then notify the state if you intend to use that kind of evidence in a trial. So I imagine the state would have their own expert to conduct a similar evaluation. To counter that, I think the prosecution is likely going to rely on the circumstances surrounding the shooting in this case, right? The fact that Ms. Romelis left the scene is going to be something that they would rely upon to say, look, you fled in an effort to avoid getting in trouble, which goes so that you had recognition of the consequences of your actions. So it's sort of the circumstances surrounding the shooting that I think the state will heavily rely on.
If it was found, and I'm just thinking off the top, say she's schizophrenic and she's never known that she was schizophrenic, and they find through this evaluation that she is. I mean, what's the bar still, even if that was the case? What makes the bar so high to actually use an insanity defense?
Well, you could rely, the schizophrenic, her suffering from schizophrenia could be probative for the defense, but it's a matter of tying that in to this instant offense and showing that due to that schizophrenic episode, that the defendant couldn't process what they were doing. And so you have to create that nexus. And I think that's what makes the bar so high here. I think finding an expert to testify to say, hey, look, a lot of people won't say, a lot of people won't say schizophrenia could lead to that, or could lead to you not recognizing what's going on. So it's having an evaluation that shows that, in fact, she didn't realize what she was doing at the time she shot her 2 children. So I think that's what creates a high bar.
Yeah, I don't see that. I don't see that it was reduced. I believe she's still in jail, awaiting trial or whatever they're going to do. But fleeing the scene, it goes back to kind of like the Lindsay Clancy case, where she describes where she talks about she had her husband go pick up this food. You know, she planned this whole trip. It was on her phone. She knew exactly how long it was going to take. And at the time that he's gone, she goes downstairs and with exercise bands, kills all of her children, and then comes upstairs and jumps out the window. She knew she had this 30-minute window. Now let's talk about this lady over here. She's done what she's done. She's driving down the road. She stops at a gas station, calls the police, and then flees. So she is very aware of what she's done. She's very aware that it's wrong. But here we go. We'll keep listening. These people.
And even beyond that, because if they file capital murder charges and say they seek the death penalty in this case because she shot 4 kids allegedly, killing 2 of them, on the flip side of it, let's say she was found not guilty by reason of insanity. Like, what would life look like for her? And I know we're getting way ahead of ourselves of where we are
yes, you are
in this, but just thinking that one possibility could eventually be the death penalty, what would be on the flip side of that if the insanity defense actually worked out?
Yeah, that's a good question, Chris, because I think there's a general assumption that someone would then just walk free. And the reality is they don't. There's a structured period of time where when somebody's found not guilty by reason of insanity, that they can still, they're incarcerated, but they're typically in a state mental hospital until there's a restoration of their sanity and competency. So you don't just walk away from that without any sort of, I wouldn't use the word punishment, but ongoing treatment for whatever mental illness you were struggling with at the time. But I do think, whether or not they can mount an insanity defense, I do think if there was any mental health, that's something the defense would use in an effort to sort of mitigate whatever offer she might receive from the state before a trial ever occurred in this case.
And I know that you've worked cases in this county. In a case like this, if they do have the evidence that they believe that they have, or at least that they've kind of insinuated to us that they've had, that seems like they have a pretty strong case. I mean, how likely is it that prosecutors would offer a deal down the line if it's something where it seems like she would get the death penalty for this?
Well, assuming that they have the facts they need to make this case and there's not anything to support.
The 2 children that survived were not, they are okay, and they've been placed in the custody of other people. They will be able to explain exactly what happened to them. They know who shot them. They know what happened. I don't think it's going to be a case where, okay, nobody saw her do it, so there's no evidence that she did it. Maybe somebody else did it. That's not going to happen. There are live witnesses who know what happened to them. They know their mother shot them. So we'll let this finish, then we'll go on to the paternity court and watch that part.
That she was acting out of any mental health episode. I think they're going to be really hard pressed to get any sort of offer. The defense would be hard pressed to get any sort of offer that would resolve this case. I imagine that they're probably there's going to be long sentences.
This is going to be a long situation.
And if they were to file a capital murder charge, we could easily see an offer of life without parole or a life sentence offering in this case. And so under those circumstances, it typically leads to trials.
And so I know you work in Houston, and she lives in Montgomery County, which just looking at a map is north of the city. And then Brazoria County is south of Houston. It seems like these are, just in terms of trying to figure out exactly what happened. I mean, they say call 911 around 5 o'clock in the morning Saturday. She's at this gas station south of the city, very far away from where she lives. Just the geographic part of this, as someone who lives in Houston, what stands out to you?
Well, it's odd. I think the time of day, obviously at that hour being, because Montgomery County and Brazoria County, specifically where Miss Ramelis lived, that's about an hour and a half to an hour 45 minutes away. So she's at a random gas station at 5:30 in the morning with all of her kids in the back seat.
She knows what she's doing.
It's definitely, I see investigators wanting to find out more about why she was down there. And the way they're going to do that, I think, will be through cell phone examination. So they'll probably get a warrant to search that phone and talk to witnesses that knew more about her life.
And then just if I think of the defense attorney that's going to get this case, and let's say the mental health argument, the insanity defense is just not there. How do you approach this case with her and defend someone if the prosecution, it seems that they feel like they have a pretty strong case that they have the person responsible for what happened to these kids?
Well, it's hard to say what specifically a defense lawyer is going to do without knowing the entirety of the investigation. But there's a lot of things they'll probably want to harp in on. They're going to want to listen to the statement of the two other children. They're going to want to look at the crime scene and look to see whether whether the investigation was conducted properly. Were chain of custodies, when it comes to the ballistics on scene, done properly? Did they do DNA in this case? And just when you look at the big picture, trying to find the holes in the investigation where the police didn't do their job like they're supposed to. I think that would be a start. I also think that there might not be mental health issues, but there's certainly things that you could look back on and try to find about Miss Ramelis that might mitigate why she did this, right? So you're going to want to look at her childhood and kind of dig back every layer of her life to see if there's things in her life that were traumatic that might lead her to act or respond in a certain way.
Yeah, I mean, you just look at this reality television show and to just think of, you know, the place that someone would be to even go on a show like that. And you know, is that kind of the story that a defense could tell eventually when we get down the line? If this were to go to trial, just knowing how, you know, I know you've done work in this county. So this happens on Saturday, October 4th. Now it's Tuesday, so it's been a couple days. I mean, what would trial time look like to actually get to a trial from here?
The wheels of justice turn slow, Chris. And especially.
Yeah, I lost my feed while ago. I was like, oh no. I was like, shit. I kicked her out, I think. Anyway, glad to see you come back. Yeah, this happened in October, but I came across this story and I started looking around about her and what's going on in her life and trying to figure out, is this something I want to look at? And I decided, hell yes, I want to look at it, because when they start hollering the devil and things like that, I'm like, okay, I know what this is. They got to feign a way to get out of it. We'll keep watching. Hang on. Thank you.
In Houston and surrounding counties, just because there's a big population. So I don't foresee this case going to trial within the next year and a half. I think more likely
it'd be a long drawn out.
And especially when it comes to murder cases and a murder of a child, there are going to be boatloads of discovery. I don't think the investigation stops once the suspect is found. I think that now police officers are likely or should be writing warrants again to get into electronics that belong to her, to try and establish motive and understand why it is that she did what she did. So in the event that the defense makes some sort of mental insanity argument, or that there was mental health and she wasn't really acting like herself, they can say, no, look, this is a motive that she had going into the shooting that day. I can't say whether or not that evidence exists, but I think that this investigation will be ongoing for quite some time.
Yeah, I know that law enforcement there in that county have said that they're burning the midnight oil, trying to figure out exactly how this could happen. Horrific case. Anthony Asso, criminal defense.
Now we're going to go find the paternity court case because I want to watch that part of it. But, you know, I noticed that he did not talk about the IDs and the scheme that she was doing in her home. But that is another part of this case that's going to play into this, because I feel like if she knew that the law enforcement was fixing to be on her because she knew they'd been tipped off about her illegal business she had going on, I could see her pulling some shit like this to try to get out of all of it. Can't you? I mean, listen, People don't want to go to prison. Well, or maybe she thought, well, what the hell? I'm going to go to prison. Might as well go all the way. I don't know. But let's go find the paternity case, y'all guys. Hang on just a second. Let's see. Paternity case. Okay, hang on. Paternity court, huh? Her name is O-N-I-E. I think she might have went by Linda. We'll see. Is this it? Let's see. It is it right here. Here we go. So y'all hang on. Let me give full credit to paternity court. Okay. Financial and spiritual guidance. Oh, do you mean he was supporting your butt and paying for all this? Because you had other children already. Hang on. Here we go. Oh, God. This is going to be funny. I might have to put my dots back on because I don't want to get a copyright strike. I'm so sorry. Just bear with me. Sorry. And the dog's outside barking. Shit. Can we be quiet tonight? You know? Here, we'll go. There we go. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. You're seeing other people. You're not cheating on each other. Get that straight. If you're seeing other people, you're not cheating. Here we go. Catch that. They had taken a break. You do you, I do me. He had given her his mother's, a piece of family jewelry, his mother's ring. She did not give it back to him while they were taking this break. Okay, now we got the story here. And hop in bed with somebody irresponsibly just to do something out of spite. Now that is ridiculous. But we'll keep hearing about this ring. Let's go. Hang on a second, guys. Hang on a second. What is this? I'm getting some kind of a weird thing up here. Okay, hang on just a second. Okay, listen, it is interrupting my live stream trying to claim some kind of copyright garbage, even though we're giving it with fair use. So I'm not going to show the rest of this, but we kind of know what has happened here. We will move on to something else and I will fight the strike. I will fight this later. So here we go. Let's go ahead and keep talking about her. Here we go. We'll just go back over here and we'll get rid of this. Right there. All right, we'll just go back and start talking about her again. This pisses me off. I get so sick of seeing this crap. It's every time you turn around, you go with this mess out of YouTube. I mean, here's what it says, which I don't understand. Let's see. What is that? What is it going to say today? It's going to say this, and then I go write a nice little letter and blah, 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 blah. There we go. It's interrupted when copyright content is detected. Also, copyright when writing material is no longer being streamed. Streams are automatically re-enabled. Okay, I don't know what that means, but we'll fight this tomorrow. But the bottom line is this woman was on that paternity court about her child. She didn't know who the father was, and I guess we'll have to look it up a different way to figure out who the father was. We'll just look it up here. I'll just look it up over here. So on that particular case with Miss Romella's paternity court, let's figure out who the father was this way. You know, when you use something under fair use, you've made your statement out there, you clearly are having the discussion, you're using it the proper way. I don't understand why the bot, I'll tell you what it is. This is all controlled by bots on YouTube. It is not a person, it is just a bot. So anytime there's something out there like that, it starts, as it's going through whatever, the little bot thing pops up there and it starts messing with your stream right then and there. So then what you have to do is the next day you go back and you write a nasty little letter to YouTube, blah, 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 and you have to go ahead and fight the copyright. I have won my copyrights, all of them, but it just pisses me off that we have to put up with this because it is a bot. It is not a real, there's nobody really looking at this. It's just a bot. So we'll just look at it this way and whatever, that's fine, you know. But, you know, here, let me ask you a question. Let me ask you something about what doesn't make sense to me about all of this is, but you can sit there and live stream a court hearing, like, you know, whatever court it is, live stream it while it's live streaming. So you're live streaming a live stream and that's okay. That's not copyright. But if you play part of something on YouTube that is already out there on YouTube, clearly under the rules of copyright, fair use, etc., the bot's going to pop in. How does that make sense? It really doesn't. You know, it's very, very irritating, but we'll keep going over here. So as far as this case goes, when she went to paternity court, who is the father? We'll find out. All right. Okay. Let's go back and look and see what it says. Oh, it's so irritating. Oh, go back, go back. Hang on, guys. We'll figure it out. I don't know why this happens. Go, stop. Okay. Based on the episode of Paternity Court that aired approximately 12 years prior to October 25, when she did the act, neither one of the two men that she had brought up identified as the potential fathers of that child. So neither one of those people were the father of the child that she was on court with. Huh. So who was the third person that she was sleeping with? Because it obviously wasn't those two. The idea, okay, so neither one was the potential father of this child of her 18-month-old son. Oh, his name was Ocario, which is one of the children that she shot and killed. Okay. So the DNA test results revealed that neither Seymour nor Covington was the father. This case recently resurfaced following reports in October 25 that Romulus was charged with shooting her 4 children in Texas. The identity of the biological father was not confirmed on the show. So we don't know who the biological father was, but I'll tell you what, we will find out who the biological father is when this case goes to trial, and it will go to trial. Now let's keep talking about her for a minute. This is from people.com. Let's talk about this one on people.com. What does it say? This Texas mother is accused of shooting her 4 children and killing 2 of them. Once appeared on this reality TV show. She was arrested in Brazoria County early morning, Saturday, October the 4th, after allegedly shooting her 4 children, killing her teenage son, which was the child in question on the paternity court show. So that child is no longer with us. That's just horrible. Police did not publicly name the children, but they were identified by KHOU 11 as 13-year-old Orkia Covington, 3-year-old Amora Chapel. 2 of Romulus's other children, 8-year-old boy and 9-year-old girl, survived the shooting, are in stable condition per the sheriff's office. Law enforcement officers responding to report of the shooting found Romulus and her children in a vehicle where they believe the shooting took place. Romulus was arrested at the scene, police said. Romulus was once a contestant on Paternity Court, a court TV series that focused on all things family, ranging from questions about paternity stories. The series had its last episode on YouTube more than a year ago, and the website for the series was unavailable as of October the 7th. So it was not being shown until all of a sudden this happens, and then it pops back up onto YouTube. Okay, that's fine. In her episode, the reports nearly 12 years ago, she told the host that she was involved with 2 men at the same time. Her partner, Dwayne Seymour, claimed she engaged in activity with another man, at the same time. Neither of the men proved to be the father of then 18-month-old Corino. Rest in peace. This child is now gone. I just hate hearing that. It makes me sick. But, I hope she rots in hell for this. I do. Romulus in Montgomery County was the one who called 911 and appeared paranoid during her interview with police, according to the court documents. She allegedly told the police that she called 911 because instead of them doing it to me, I'm just going to do it to them. Isn't that the wildest, weirdest thing you've ever heard? I don't get it. When asked to clarify what she meant, do it to them, she allegedly said, kill all of them. She knew what she was doing. I don't want to hear no psychosis bullshit. She further alleged that her children were dead to her and they were with the devil. And at one point stating, because you can't take me without taking you, per the investigators. Child Protective Services, as usual, always involved. Child Protective Services told KHOU that they are investigating the case and working to ensure that the well-being and safety of the surviving children. Now, Romulus had been charged with 2 counts of murder and 2 counts of aggravated assault, and she has a $14 million bond. A plea and attorney information did not appear online in the court records in Brazoria County or Montgomery County. But I'm trying to find the story where it talks about the other thing they found in her home, because that's the real story here. That's the real story in this particular story. Let me see if I can find it right here. Let me see. What we've learned. I think it's over here about what we've learned. Let me see if I can find it. Ooh, no. Okay, I think it's over here. Hang on, let me pull this back up. Let's pull this back up over here. on YouTube. It's the What We've Learned. I think this is where they discuss the different things that she had. They found in the house. And her name is okay. What We've Learned. Hang on. Nope. Come on. Gotta spell it right. Why is this not coming on? Okay, What We Learned. Hang on a second, guys. There's a story out here that talks about I think it's on YouTube. Just a second. Where it talks about all these IDs and things that they found in her, all the IDs and all this other things that they found in her home is where they knew she was running this scheme over there, making money illegally. So that is what I'm trying to find over here so we can show it. What we've learned about this. This was 4 months ago. What we learned, the Texas mother accused. Let me see if I can find this little, it was just a little blip that I found. I was like, oh no, that's just nasty. What is this one? Hang on a second. Okay. This is going to be full credit to, let me get this person's name, Jonathan Delaney. Hang on. So let me share my screen. This is going to be full credit to Jonathan Delaney. Hang on. And nope, it has to be on YouTube. You can't do it that way. It's considered damn. Oh my God. Let me tell you something. YouTube has gotten so weird. So the other day, I did I did a little live, and I used things on YouTube, but it was actually from Bing instead of just YouTube, right? So let me go to YouTube. There we go. All right. Okay, his name is Delaney. His name is Delaney, I believe. Okay. Whoops. Here we go. Let me pull it up this way. Damn thing. Let me see if I can pull it up this way. It's right here, I believe. No, not that one. I think it's this one. All right, hold on a second. All right, now let me get this pulled back up. What, your browser? Okay, stop. Why is my browser? Oh, stop it. Okay, we're gonna share our screen. I'm gonna show you this one right here, guys. Hang on a minute. All right, this is Delaney. It's What We've Learned, I believe is the name of it. Not that one. We've seen that one. It's this one. It's full credit is going to go to Fox 26 out of Houston. So
2 children, 2 other. So this is happening in the town of Porter, which is in just north of Houston. Yep. And we have our Jillian Hartman there. So we found out in Brazoria County, 2 children, 2 other people are dead. And apparently the mother might be in charge. And Jillian, I know the town of Porter is very small. I don't know
it is a small
people
town.
May know who this mother is, who's allegedly responsible possibly for this.
Well, I just talked to a neighbor. She says she has seen the kids before, and she says this is just tragic and shocking. This is a heartbreaking story. A mother is accused of shooting her 4 kids, and 2 of them died. And we learned that the family lived in this home here behind me in Porter, Montgomery County. Now, authorities arrested this mother. Take a look here. 31-year-old Anita Romulus. She allegedly shot her 4 kids over the weekend. 2 of them were killed.
Here we go.
The Brazoria County Sheriff's Office said just before 5 a.m. Saturday, she called 911 from a Shell gas station and said to come to her location. Now, when deputies arrived, they found the actual video. Children shot inside the car. Now, Anita's 13-year-old son and 4-year-old daughter died from their injuries. Her 8-year-old son and 9-year-old daughter were then life-flighted to a local hospital, and we're told at last check they are in stable condition. Investigators believe the shooting happened inside the car, but are still working to determine exactly where it happened. Now, authorities called this a senseless tragedy. At this time, Romulus is in the Brazoria County Jail with a $14 million bond. We did learn some disturbing new details in the last 30 minutes. According to court documents, when she was questioned by authorities, she said her children were dead to her and they were with the devil. Now, we did talk to a neighbor who said that she knew the kids. She saw them many times before. She's never spoken or seen the mother, but said that nothing seemed suspicious. Take a listen.
We didn't know anything about the lady, but as for the 13-year-old boy and then his little sister,
it's really
it was very sweet. We would see him in the afternoons because we would sit out in the afternoon and we would see him going to get her from the daycare and bringing her back and taking care of her. We didn't know anything about the other two kids. And when we heard it, I couldn't believe it, and I'm still in shock.
So is what they're saying is one child would go pick up the other child and take care of that child while mother was doing whatever she was doing, and they didn't even know the other two children existed? Is that what I'm hearing straight? This is crazy. Now, I believe this is the neighborhood where she lives. I think one of these houses back there is her home. They're not cheap. They're not. This is a nice little area in Porter.
Now, that neighbor also told me that she saw detectives and deputies at the house here after that shooting occurred. And we also learned that the mother has been charged in a different state in Georgia with 3 misdemeanors, including driving under the influence of drugs. Now, we did reach out to the Texas Department of Family Protective Services, and they tell us they are investigating this incident. Back to you.
Wow. Okay.
It is impossible to make sense of a senseless tragedy like this, but we will do everything we can to seek justice for these children.
A Texas woman is accused of gunning down her own children in a horrific act of violence. Now, somehow, 2 of the 4 victims survived. They're now in recovery as their mom sits behind bars on a $14 million bond. And as the investigation into Oninda Romulus widens, stranger and stranger details are coming out about what was allegedly going on inside her home.
Oh, this is it. This is what I wanted to
presented by Law and Crime. I'm
Here we
Jesse
go.
Weber.
You get the long.
Like I said, at this point, this is still an ongoing. However, what is most important is that our team is working on this. We've been burning the midnight oil on this ever since this dropped, right? So I can assure you we're looking into this, and there is a lot of stuff that is not able to be released at this point.
Law enforcement in 2 Texas counties are trying to piece together what led to a mother allegedly shooting her 5 a.m. on Saturday, October 4th, from an Oasis convenience store in Angleton. According to a criminal complaint that was later filed against Romulus, quote, affiant learned from the Brazoria County Dispatch, Black female identified as Oninda Romulus had shot her 4 juvenile children and was currently located at the convenience store. Wow. So this complaint goes on to explain the scene that this investigator came upon at the gas station, where a white car was parked at a gas pump with the engine running, okay? Quote, a white sheet was covering a small child's body that was lying on the ground behind the vehicle. Affian observed a second white sheet covering a body that was on the passenger side of the car between the car and the gas pump. Affian observed the body was positioned with its body hanging halfway out of the passenger door with legs in the vehicle and the upper torso and head on the ground. It's absolutely horrific. Now, at a news conference, authorities said that while they believe that this shooting took place inside the car, they don't know, or it's unclear where the car was when that happened. According to the investigator, the store owner arrived, let the deputy look at the surveillance. The investigator wrote that they were able to see a woman believed to be Romulus get out of the white car, walk around to the gas pump. It reportedly appeared like she was talking on the phone at the time, so possibly already on the phone with 911, not entirely sure. Once she got gas, she was seen walking back to the driver's side, stops to look in the rear window before getting back into the driver's seat. Now, the first deputies on the scene, they tried to talk to Romulus, but when she started backing away from them and the car, that's when they detained her. That is when they realized that there was a...
Because she started backing away, she was about to run. She's like, uh-oh, they really are here. I'm fixing to get my ass arrested. Wow, here we go.
Male slumped over in the front passenger seat. He was later identified as 13-year-old Acario. They tried to render aid, but he was dead. He was dead from gunshot wounds. And that is when they saw that there were 3 other children in the back seat, also sustaining gunshot wounds. And despite their best efforts, another child, 3-year-old Amora, was pronounced dead. The 2 others, an 8-year-old, a 9-year-old, they were life flighted to a hospital. Court documents indicate multiple guns were found with Romulus, whether they were on her person or in the car, it wasn't specified. But according to the complaint, deputies had already Mirandized Romulus, so the investigator tried to talk to her to find out what happened here, but said she, quote, wasn't making any sense. And at that point, she was taken to jail. When the investigator got back to the sheriff's office, Romulus was escorted to an interview room. They wrote in the complaint that she appeared paranoid didn't want to sit down, kept looking out the door of the interview room. But the investigator was finally able to build enough rapport with her to ask a few questions. The complaint reads, during the interview, Affiant asked Aninda Romulus why she called 911, and she stated that she couldn't talk about it. Affiant then asked several more questions as to why she called 911, and she stated, instead of them doing it to me, I'm going to do it to them. Affiant further asked, do what?
Okay, right here. Let's move to right.
Tell you, they provide more information about her that we need to talk about. All right, so before we dive into all these details, I want to welcome on a new guest here on Sidebar, Dr. Tia-Nancy Wilson, a nationally recognized legal scholar, commentator, law degree from Howard University, doctorate from the University of Texas at Austin, knows how to break down all of these complex criminal matters. Thank you so much for taking the time, and welcome to Sidebar. We really love having you.
Yeah, thank you for having me. Great to end this conversation.
Yeah, this is a tough case. I mean, the information we know so far is just chilling. It is so shocking, a scene for law enforcement to respond to. You have 4 children, grisly wounds, 2 of them already dead, 2 who could die if they didn't get immediate help. What is your initial reaction when looking at this? And what do you say to people? What is the number one priority when responding to a scene like this?
My number one response was, oh my God, the children, right? I looked at the transcript and then got to see a little bit of the video, I guess, from the scene. And I'm just thinking, like, what type of mental state must someone be in to allegedly do this to the children and then get out, drive to a gas station on the phone and start pumping gas, right? While some of the children are within the breath inch of their life. But in terms of the kind of preserving the crime scene for the police and for law enforcement, even for a defense attorney, right? The first thing you want to do here is check the car and see, is anyone alive, right? Can we get a medical expert out here to survey this scene? How do we?
I cannot imagine being a police officer showing up to this scene and seeing this child or these children in this condition and the mom acting like she's fixing to run off. I mean, from what I understand, she's not showing any kind of emotion at all, like flat, no emotion. It is horrible. Here we go.
Get this woman to begin talking if she'll talk at all, right? Is she Mirandized? Are we going to be able to use what she's telling us, one, to preserve the crime scene for a prosecution and perhaps for a defense, but also making sure that we can get to the wounds and understand.
Cinderella, you don't hear anything? Is that what you're saying? Can you hear me now talking? Let me see if it's working. Hang on. I don't know what the hell, they get all upset over here. Let's see. Let me see if I can turn this back up. Let's see. Let me see if I can turn this back up. Okay. I can hear myself talking. Hold on. I think I know what it is. Just a second, guys. Now. Oops.
And what has happened to these kids, because clearly from the affidavit, it's not immediately clear that the children had been shot, right? Or whether they're alive or dead. So that'd be my first couple priorities there.
By the way, you know why we're able to bring you stories like this? It's not only because of the amazing support that we get from all of you out there, but also from our incredible sponsor, Morgan & Morgan, America's largest injury law firm, a firm with over 1,000 attorneys. You know why they're so big? Because they win all the time. They have recovered over $25 billion for more than 500,000 clients. In the past few months, a client in Florida received $12 million after the insurance company offered just $350,000. Out in Pennsylvania, a client was awarded $12 after.
She's just speaking gibberish. Is she acting? Does she need mental health support? Because a lot of times you will have folks that are maybe just in shock. And I can't imagine, allegedly shooting or even just being accused of shooting 4 of my children, killing 2 of them, that I would not be in shock, that I would not be saying anything, right, to an officer or to myself, to God, whoever I believe in, to my family. I'd also be interested in thinking about who she was on the phone with after she called the police. That'd be interesting to me. But in that moment, we're going to want to have her have some type of evaluation because she could be leading you down a rabbit hole. Or, it could just be that whatever she's saying is not helpful to the crime scene investigation or to the investigation of, are there other children, which we kind of find out later.
There are 2 things to that as I was reading it. One, the idea of allegedly shooting your own children, there's got to be something there. So first thought I wondered, is she even on the phone with anybody, right? If you're thinking about delusion, was she even speaking to anybody? Let's put that there. But my understanding is in Texas, And I know this is an incredibly tough defense. I know that this doesn't always apply. But when you're dealing with a situation like this, I immediately looked it up. Texas has the insanity defense. And if you're talking about whether somebody appreciated the wrongfulness of their actions, and obviously we don't have all of the details yet, but is that something that may be considered by a defense attorney when you're talking about such a heinous crime like this? And it may be difficult for a jury to accept how on earth could someone shoot children like this? There has to be something wrong.
That's right. Well, I mean, I think in a situation like this, you always consider every defense, right? Because again, just to remind our viewers, what we have right now is affidavits from the police. We have the police's side of the story. We don't have her side really yet. I always tell when I was teaching law, I tell my students, look, when you read an affidavit, you read a crime scene report, you read a complaint, this is the worst case scenario for the client, right? This is if all the worst things are true, that's what we're reading right now. So as a defense attorney, of course, you're going to want to consider that insanity defense. And it's not the best defense you can get. It's not the one you want to use. It's not a get out of jail free card. Because if you use that, that does not mean you're not going to be punished. It means, right, in many cases, and Texas is a strange state. I got to look a little bit closer. I haven't been there in a minute. But it generally means across the country that you're going to be incarcerated and well, held. Let's not say incarcerated, detained maybe. It's maybe a better word. Until you reach sanity, right? And then your punishment might change. So this isn't like.
Yeah. So if you are found incompetent, right, or insane, they will hold you because they want to get you to a competent state, and then they want to try you. Now, if you plead not guilty by reason of insanity, then it comes down to something like Letitia Stouch tried to do. Well, basically, they decide, okay, they bring in the experts, they do their duty. It's all heard in court. And then guess what? That they end up being found guilty and sent to either a mental hospital or to prison. But you're not going to just walk out of a Texas courtroom because you pled guilty by reason of insanity and have no punishment at all, right? It's just not going to happen, right? Anyway. Here we go, guys.
You get an insanity defense and now you're out at your house, right, on medication or being checked up on unsupervised probation. No, you're still going to be held away from society. Right. So that's something that we have to think about. But again, the insanity defenses, were they able to appreciate the wrongfulness of their act at the time? And we don't know that, right? But do they also understand that the thing that they're doing is criminal? That's another thing that we're going to think about. So she could say that, yeah, the devil made me do it.
I think she
that
does
still
like
may not meet the standard of insanity in Texas. So that's going to be a hard defense to make. And if I'm the defense attorney on this case, I'm going to be looking at other things. Did someone else shoot these kids? Right? Was she under the influence? Was she unlawfully drugged by someone else? Is there medication in her?
Can we talk about that real quick before we get in any further? Would it be standard protocol to test her blood for any alcohol, drugs, toxins? And if they didn't, if law enforcement didn't, is that something that a defense attorney could bring up as a potential issue later down the line?
If they did not?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, that's something I would bring up. I mean, generally cases like this, and in any case, particularly in Texas, where they love to test your blood for anything, they're probably going to do these tests mostly for liability issues for the jail as well. Because now you brought this person in who's clearly acting delusional, walking in circles, talking to someone who's not there, talking to the devil, saying her kids are with the devil because she's not going to let them take her out. There's something wrong here. So you're going to have a medical evaluation, and that medical evaluation team is going to decide what tests need to be done to best treat this person. Because the other thing that you're going to be looking for if you're the jail or the sheriff in Texas is to say, wait a minute, I don't know if this person needs to be on suicide watch. I don't want this liability in my jail without having a medical team truly evaluate what's going on with her mentally, what's going on with her psychotically, what's going on with her kind of physiology, with her biology.
One thing I don't know, because I have not seen any of it, is whether she was put on suicide watch. Because again, I mean, the information about this case is kind of sparse, and I just came across it myself, and I've been trying to look up all kinds of information. I mean, they haven't even started talking about her scam for the driver's license and the Social Security cards yet, but it's out there. So I don't know. I don't know if they ever put her on suicide watch. I'm going to try to do a FOIA and get some more information. Luckily, because I'm in Texas and I'm like right down the road from Austin, I can go down to the Texas Department of Public Safety and get records. So it's much easier for me. So here we go, guys.
here? Is she under something? So those are evaluations we're going to want to do. But as a defense team, of course, you're going to want that information. And if they don't have it, it's great because now you can create more reasonable doubt. Sometimes it's better that they didn't do the testing.
It's a really good point. It's a really good point. Okay, so let's talk about this, Dr. Wilson. I want to get your reaction to Romulus's social media presence. Okay, so we dug into her Instagram page, and while some moms, might be sharing photos and videos of their children's milestones or these really special, cherished moments, her page has almost no posts that feature her children. Many of her photos and videos, they showcase a party lifestyle, includes her showing off stacks of cash and luxury purchases. Although, as we know, what's presented online isn't always the truth, no matter who you're talking about. We found this example, by the way, of Romulus's apparent maybe attitude toward her children. It's from a trip to Cancun that they took for spring break earlier this year. And a photo of a drink with the caption, "I had to soon as I got off the flight because these kids ain't worth a damn." Then there's a video, apparently from that same trip, that shows or seems to show Romulus escorting a group of children to an area with a pool. She speaks with them more on the way down a flight of stairs. And the caption on the video reads, "Much needed, smiling emoji with hearts. If F them kids was a person, face palm emoji."
Y'all got to go. Peace. See y'all later.
Peace, Mommy.
Yeah, I'm not.
Oh, this is breaking my heart. It's so sad.
Yeah, I am gonna have a great fucking time with y'all guys.
Oh my goodness.
Bye. Karia wants to go get y'all baby, sis. Yes.
Oh.
Why? Because you're gonna get in the pool.
Oh my goodness.
You're gonna get in the pool. Look, you're gonna have a.
That's going to make me cry. Look at those beautiful children. How are you pointing a gun at your damn kids? How are you doing this, my God, woman? And notice her children not being on her social media. And then when she did talk about her children, it's always something nasty and ugly. This woman has problems, and it's not mental it's not that she's crazy. She don't like her kids. This is horrible. I'm sorry. I don't mean to yell. Here we go.
Good time.
It just bothers me.
Yes. Come on, everybody's inside.
And one of the last videos posted before this tragedy has the caption, "Mama gotta have a life too." Dr. Wilson, is this relevant for the case? Is this something that investigators, prosecutors, perhaps the defense attorneys will look at and use?
I mean, prosecutors might try to use it, right? I mean, they probably will hope that a jury has seen these images already, hope the news picks it up. But I don't think it's directly relevant to the state. I mean, if there's other information that comes out, if there's child abuse allegations, if there's allegations tied to these specific.
We do know that CPS was involved. So there are some issues between mom and these kids that I'm not going to say assume, but we do know CPS is involved. So here we go.
Events or pictures where they're kind of like time stamped or time captured, that could be relevant. But these are out of court statements that don't seem to have anything to do with her quality as a mother. I mean, these are things that, I have a lot of friends that are single mothers, and a lot of them, they'll have their entire Instagram child free, right? This is their fantasy. Like, not that they don't love their kids, but they have a lot of stress in taking care of these kids on their own. And Instagram is about them and bigging themselves up and being able to look glamorous and just have that kind of single sexy woman moment. Right. And the kind of F them kids statement is a thing that's really common, at least in people around my age. Right. It's kind of just this notion that you get to be a human being, too. But they can be misconstrued, or they could be really deeply held beliefs that, no, I don't give an F about my children at all. I do wish they were dead. I do have resentment toward them. So, I mean, we have to be able to tie these statements to at least a pattern of events that underlie and say that this is her deeply held feeling and aren't just kind of out of court hearsay type of moments.
Right, tie it to this kind of intent to kill. I talked about the fact that Romulus's posts tended to feature these expensive items like purses, sunglasses, cash.
Now, I want y'all to look at all of these things right here. Pay very close attention to these stacks of cash, these Gucci bags, and this car that she bought right here, because all of this came from selling and illegal IDs and collecting all kinds of money under fake social security numbers, etc. She's criminal. So I'm saying it. I'm saying it 100%. She's a damn criminal, and I think she took those kids' life, and the excuse she's going to use is I'm crazy. But she wasn't crazy. Look at this right here. Look at this right here. This was her everyday life. Here we go.
The search warrants that were filed by Montgomery County deputies, they kind of give us insight into how she may have come by that cash. So the warrants have a black and white photo of a brick home on Spear Valley Lane in Porter, Texas. And in addition to requesting photos and videos of the inside and outside of the home to be put into evidence, the warrants, they list items that deputies wanted to get their hands on inside. That includes all electronics that can store data like DVR systems, cell phones, tablets, computers, SIM cards, hard drives, any equipment that can be used to print, copy, scan, produce, alter any paper item, and all items containing identifying information for any purpose. And we'll get to why in just a second. But Dr. Wilson, in situations like this, where a person is accused of such horrific crimes, what are the limits on what investigators can seek with warrants? And what do you think might be going on here?
Well, yeah, I will tell you what, when I look at a murder case, I'm generally not thinking I'm going to find a mastermind criminal of fraud, right? So these are completely, generally different types of people that commit these two different crimes, unless a person that does get murdered is also involved in this kind of fraudulent scammer activity. But when you're looking to
fraudulent scammer right here, you look at her. Yeah, so behind that pretty little face, you know what she was doing. And let me tell you something, I'm sure she was abusing those children because they were in her damn way. Here we go.
Create a search warrant. You're looking to find evidence that is tied to the crime that you believe has happened, right? Couple different types of warrants you can get. You can get a warrant because you believe that a crime is afoot. You can get a warrant because you believe a crime has already happened, and that kind of evidence itself is going to be disappeared, harmed, and might perish because it could be something that's biodegradable. We don't know, right? But you have to list in that warrant the things you're hoping to find with particularity. So it tells me that when they have these list of items that they're looking for, they've gotten some information or an inkling about these things somewhere else. Because what does that have to do with shooting 4 children? That is a strange, attenuated connection. So that tells me that officers already had an inkling that some other things were going on. So I'm wondering, what did she say in the interview? You know, what was found in the car, in her purse, on her person, on her phone, perhaps, if she was not represented by counsel and silly enough to give her phone to the police. Where did this inkling come from for the police?
I believe there was suspicion already that there was something going on over there because she had no real job, right? She tried to pretend, I'm just this poor mom raising these children all by myself, you know, on limited income. But look how she was living. Here we go.
Because it seems to me very clearly that this woman, aside of allegedly murdering her children, allegedly, she's really a smart criminal businesswoman. If she's able to pull all this off, get all this information, have such money, I imagine what she could have done if she would have did these things the right way, got an MBA, went to school, started her own business, and be able to really provide for her kids. So I'm wondering, you know, what is behind this? How'd she get into it?
Let's expand upon that a little bit, because we should note that the search warrants, they also indicate that there was a dog that was, quote, abandoned at the residence that's now under the care of animal control. These warrants also reveal that deputies were concerned about a person that could be in this home as well, because the warrants state at the time of unit's arrival at the Spear Valley Lane location, the oldest child of Romulus, a 17-year-old, was unaccounted for as this child was not located in the vehicle with the 4 other victims. Now, eventually, deputies, they breached the door of this home. They wanted to look inside, figure out if this 17-year-old was inside, and if so, was this person okay? No one was found. I want to talk about some of the items that were found inside that house. So the paperwork says that during an initial search, investigators found evidence of a large-scale identity fraud scheme. Okay, so this is what we were talking about. Quote, I observed there to be a large amount of social security cards and other identification documents containing identifying information of numerous individuals. This includes social security cards, U.S. treasuring checks addressed to this location with different names contained on the checks. The counterfeit identification documents were in various stages of manufacture, bearing different names, states, and photographs. These items are believed to be connected to criminal activity, but outside the scope of the initial warrant for the residence. Some identification cards had photographs of Oninda Romulus with names of different individuals. These items were located in an office inside the home that also contained multiple shipping labels, phones, computers, laptops, printers, and other devices. So in total, investigators gathered up a staggering amount of potential evidence. Fox 26 Houston reports that court documents list out items which include 31 Social Security cards, 33 ID cards, 15 credit cards, 15 packages of blank checks. Dr. Wilson, going back to you, if all of this is true, you mentioned it.
Okay. There's our own Linda or Miss Romulus or whatever you want to call her without her makeup and her hair and all that. There she is. So we've got a criminal mastermind over there doing all of this. Why did she take her children out? What is there something going on behind the scenes that we don't know about yet? That maybe that she was fixing to get popped for this. That other people knew about this and maybe she was already been reported. I don't know. But it seems to me like it could be. Here we go.
Before about how they might have got to it. Is this now going to be a separate case? Are they going to separate the killings versus potential financial fraud?
There will probably be the same case, just different charges, right?
Okay.
And as you know, when you have a warrant, you're supposed to list the specific things that you're looking for. And I think the word we use in criminal law, I haven't taught this part in a minute, but it's with particularity, right? You can't just go on a fishing expedition. But the rule also is, if you go into a home and you see evidence of another crime, it doesn't have to be a home office, wherever the warrant is, and you see evidence of another crime that's in what we call plain view, it's fair game, right? And so they went into that office, the office within this building or home or what have you, looking for this young man. And they saw all this evidence of another crime. And so that's fair game there. But yes, this is going to be part of the same case. And that's going to be difficult for an attorney because a lot of us specialize. So maybe you specialize in murder cases, but now you have this maybe, I don't know what type of fraud or how many different types of fraud is going on here. I wouldn't feel equipped, right, necessarily to take on the fraud case, but I feel more comfortable with the murder case. And of course, some people are best athletes and just say, hey, reasonable doubt's reasonable doubt. But these are going to be the same case, probably with an assorted team of attorneys if she can afford it, or hopefully her public defender service down there has a really highly qualified team.
That's the next question I have. She has all this cash that they've taken so they go into her home, they get all this information, they take all this cash, all these bags and all these things. Now that's evidence. So does she have enough cash somewhere in the bank to hire an defense attorney, or is she going to rely on the public to go ahead and pay for her defense attorney? After all, they took all of her illegal money from her. That's a question I have. I don't know what you guys think, but I think that, So there's no way I'm ever going to believe that she had any kind of mental breakdown when she took these kids' lives. No way. If you're smart enough to do all this other crap and you've been doing it for a long time, because apparently she had been doing it for a long time. I mean, how'd she buy that house? She paid cash for that with her illegal cash? Let's keep going.
And that's a really good point. And I will tell you, the search warrants, they also indicate that there was a Tesla with a Georgia license plate that was parked in the driveway when the units got there. And background records show that Romulus previously lived in Georgia. Now, according to investigators, a surveillance camera from across the street apparently showed multiple people coming out of the home just after 2:30 a.m. on Saturday, October 4th, with some of the subjects being, quote, small in stature, consistent with children. They apparently got into a car next to the Tesla, drove away. The warrant requested access to the Tesla's camera system, the storage, in order to gather information about the people who might have left the home that night. The investigator providing details for the warrant noted that it can take several days, maybe even weeks, to gather this much electronic evidence. Dr. Wilson, we talk about electronic evidence all the time, how maybe in today's day and age, it can be a lot more difficult for someone to hide criminal activity or to get away with a crime. I mean, a Tesla in and of itself is almost like a computer. It's a very different kind of operating machine. It's a very different kind of how it can store information.
That Tesla has cameras all the way around, and everything that happened in that driveway, I guarantee you, is on those cameras in that Tesla. And I bet you they have it, but they're not going to release it because it's going to show everything they need to see. I kind of want to know if this house was one of those situations where you had people coming in and out of that house all hours of the night doing what the hell ever, We'll keep going.
I'm curious what we can expect when we talk about electronic evidence.
Well, I mean, Teslas are really particular. I have a Kia EV9, and I love the car because the security features are so great and there's so many cameras. I have a friend who recently, I believe, had their Tesla, someone tried to steal it, and the person was on camera because the Tesla was yet recording, right? So when these things can act as surveillance devices in and of themselves, you have a problem here. But of course, when we're trying to get subpoenas for electronic devices, with the Tesla, it might even be as hard as kind of with a cell phone. So do you need to get the subpoena to the Tesla company? Are there certain encryption ways that you can encrypt your data with your Tesla? How do you actually get into the cars? There's a lot of questions there. And oftentimes these companies don't want to give you the data, even though there might be a murderer or a serial killer or a rapist on the loose, because the way they sell themselves is, look, this is your privacy here. And they're selling the notion of privacy and convenience. So if someone like Tesla, we've seen this with Apple in the past, with the FBI, just hands over the data, just hands over their surveillance.
Couponing, how you doing? Thanks for coming in, girl. We're just talking about this sad little case here with this mean monster right here. Took the lives of her children. If you haven't been listening for a long time, this woman right here shot all of her children. 2 of them survived, 2 of them died. She was running an illegal business out of her home and had identities and, just, it's a horrible mess. Oh my God. So go if you haven't seen it, if you haven't watched from the beginning, go back and watch later. But it's really an interesting story, and these are just beautiful children. And it makes me so bad when I see this happen, because she's claiming now she had some kind of mental, claiming that the devil, all the classic bullshit that they claim. Good to see you, Couponing.
Without any type of real fight, it cheapens in the eyes of a lot of consumers the experience and the product that they're buying. It feels like you can't even have, the so-called right to privacy in your own home, in your own car, what have you. And of course, we know with the vehicle, you have a reduced right to privacy as well. So I think there are a lot of issues there, not necessarily with just a legal piece of the subpoena and getting that information, but the kind of battle with the company that is looking also at their bottom line, their brand, their reputation.
I'm glad you mentioned that, because we talk so much about ChatGPT and how there's what you put in there can be potentially used in a criminal case, and how technology advances, and we talk about privacy. But I will mention this. There is another strange twist to this case. So while deputies at a news conference wouldn't discuss any custody issues surrounding Romulus's children, Romulus herself was featured on an episode of the TV show Paternity Court. Yeah, so according to the Daily Mail, the question of who the father of an 18-month-old child, who that father was posed in a 2013 episode. Now, it's unclear if that child was one of the victims in the case. I will say the ages do line up for it to be 13-year-old Macario. When it comes to other details from Romulus's background, Fox 26 Houston reports that the Fayette County Sheriff's Office in Georgia confirmed to them that Romulus was arrested in 2022, charged with misdemeanor DUI of drugs, failure to maintain her lane, possession of less than 1 ounce of marijuana. The outlet reports that it appears she entered a guilty plea to the DUI charge. The prosecution dropped the other 2 charges. Dr. Wilson, before I let you go, any way that could play into the case? We talk about prior bad acts, prior history. Anything like that we should be considering in this investigation or this potential legal case?
Well, I would think not necessarily the marijuana possession or, driving while under the influence of weed. No offense to my friends in Atlanta, but I think you could throw a rock in Atlanta and probably hit someone driving under the influence of weed. But in terms of, that TV show is really interesting to me, because it makes me wonder, is this person, is it in conjunction with the Instagram, is this someone who was looking for notoriety? Is this someone who's trying to become kind of reality TV type of person? We know those paternity case court TV shows are all about getting your name out there. A lot of it's fabricated. So I'm wondering, is she trying to create a bigger image, a larger than life image for herself with both that and this tax issue? Is this a motive? Is this why she needs to get rid of the kids potentially?
Yeah. What do you say? Let me get my glasses on. I can't see. Now, good to be here. First time hearing of this. Yeah, this is This is Texas, and it's a new case. I just found this case, but it actually happened in October. But there's not a whole lot of information about this case out there. So I thought, oh no, I mean, I saw law and crime had done a couple of little things, but there's not been much about it. So I thought, I'm bringing it out there and we're going to talk about it. And I'm going to follow this case. And I was saying a while ago, it's easy for me to go get FOIAs in this information because the Department of Public Safety and you know, a lot of these records are held here in Austin, Texas. So I can just go grab them and I'm going to do it. So y'all be ready to get some more information on this case because we're going to follow this one and the Texas case, the Clancy case. We will be taking this all the way through the court system. So let's keep going. Hang on a second.
So she can be by herself, be a celebrity, live her best life. I mean, that's something to look into. It's not dispositive of that. It's not evidence, but it's a theme, right? It's something to keep in the back of your head. But yeah, the marijuana, I wouldn't as much worry about that. It doesn't really have a connection to many things, besides maybe, you know, being a single mother and trying to de-stress and making some bad decisions. But I would wonder, what is the motive here? And does this connection with Instagram and the bags and the cash and the TV shows, and perhaps Atlanta itself, does that portend a kind of desire, right, to be free of these children, to have a kind of celebrity profile, to live an alternative life, right?
Yeah. And going back to the human aspect of this, let's just end on this point. It is so tragic. It is so sad because you think, what becomes of the two surviving children, right, who are expected to recover? Well, for now, it's not clear who's going to take custody of them when they are released from the hospital. This is according to Fox 26 Houston. A spokesperson for the Texas Department of Family and Protective Services, Melissa Lanford, told the outlet Child Protective Services is investigating this case, making sure that the safety and well-being of the surviving children is our first priority. Ms. Romulus has had contact with CPS on one other occasion. Details of that interaction are confidential, but will be included in a public child fatality report when our investigation is complete. Dr. Wilson, such a pleasure to have you on. Thank you so much for breaking down the legal intricacies of this complicated, sad, disturbing case. And I look.
Okay, I like Dr. Wilson, and if I was needing to hire an attorney, I guess in Georgia, wherever she's at, or wherever this person is, I would hire that person to be my defense attorney. But however, Dr. Wilson is a law professor. She teaches law, so very, very educated, very, very smart. I really like her. Of course, I like Jesse Weber too over on Sidebar, but we'll turn that off. Hang on just a second, guys. Let me disconnect that. We're going to stop sharing our screen, and now we'll just go back and talk about it for a second. But yeah, I mean, I want more information. There's not a lot out there, but we're going to get some information on here because I find the case to be disturbing, disgusting. But you know, it makes, oh, my face did get red in the sun today, didn't it? It makes me so sick every time I see these cases and these people start with the I'm crazy, the devil made me do it, etc. You're going, bullshit. Tell another lie, make another excuse because I know that this is all garbage. Just stop it. You know, this woman is over here scamming, stealing, thieving, living on the high hog. What in the world does she think she's going to get away with it here in Texas? Does she think she's going to go in there and holler she's crazy and maybe she'll go to jail for 6 months or so and then walk out there and, oh, well, and just keep on living? You know, that's the question I have. I don't know. But let me show y'all something. Hang on a second. I hope this doesn't fall off the wall while I get this. Hang on just a second here. Oops. It might fall. I hope not. Let's see. Okay. Y'all know that my show the other night when I was doing my purse giveaway got shut down, and it was the bullshit copyright garbage again with the bots and YouTube. Of course, I did my fight with YouTube. I won my fight with YouTube. But anyway, so we have to start all over on that. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to redo our show about giving our purses away. I actually have, okay, so whoever wins the bag has a choice. You can either have this brand new one. This is brand new, still in the packaging, you know, Dooney and Bourke purse. And it has a little matching, let me show you what's in here. Okay. This bag actually has a little matching pouch thing that comes with it. It's right here. So this is one choice, but I also have, I also have this one. So you will either have this, you can either have this one or the pink one, whichever one you prefer whenever we do our giveaway again. So here you go. I also thought to myself, because I need to have about 500 people in my live to give away the bags, I think that's fair. But on the night that we do our giveaway for the bags, if we don't have 500 people in here, we are going to give away something. So I thought about this. This is the cutest little spray ground bag. It's a little spray ground bag, and it goes on your wrist. Like you can put it on your wrist like this, or you can clip it onto your purse. That's a little clip thing. You can clip it onto your purse, but it's just big enough for your cell phone. I mean, not your cell phone, but your car keys and your credit card or your ID. So if you're going like to a water park or something like that, it's a cute, cute little bag for something like that. So that's one of the things that we're going to give away right there. We also have these little pink dogs. I collect these from Victoria's Secret. So I have a bunch of these little dogs, and just different things. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to talk to Sprinkle about this tomorrow. She couldn't be with us tonight, but we're going to redo this. We're going to redo our live on that. So we'll start out with, if we have 500 people, we're going to give away the bags. If we have 200 people, we'll give away our little spray ground bags. If we have less than 200 people, we'll give away one of our little dogs. I think that's fair. This way, it's just a little gift back to the people who come and watch me all the time to show how much I appreciate them spending their time with me. It's been a little bit of a rough year. Y'all know that, with all the things that goes on out there in YouTube and woo, anyway, but we're finally turning it around, and I think that's great. But just letting you know that, because I know we really haven't discussed what happened when our live got shut down over copyright garbage once again. So that's been corrected. We will redo it. I'm going to schedule it probably sometime, but probably around the first week of March or so, like maybe March the 10th, 11th, something like that. And what the show is going to be about, I'm not going to do UFOs. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to go back and stick with what I know best. And we're going to talk about appeals that have happened, appeals cases. We're going to read the briefs and talk about those for some of these high profile cases. That's what it's going to be about. And we will announce it, but that's what it's going to be about. I know we all enjoy watching the appeals and reading the briefs and finding out what really happened and just tracking that kind of thing, because when you read the appeals brief, you find out what really happened in the case. You hear about things that you did not see because you were not watching the court. We weren't watching it live or whatever. And even when they show live TV court, we really don't see every little thing that happens. But in the appeals brief, it discusses every little thing that happens. So that's what the show's going to be about when we redo our bag giveaway. So I'm going to get some more information on this case, and we'll just hang out for a minute. But we're going to go live tomorrow at 2:30, myself and Sprinkled, and we're going to talk about this other appeals case. Now, this is out of Texas, and her name is oh damn, it's Madison McDonald, and she too took the lives of her little girls. But here's the thing about Madison. Madison really is cuckoo. Okay, she really is. That's a horrific case, and this happened 4 years ago, I believe. Well, they had her appellate hearing back in I want to say November. It was October, November, and the opinion has been put down about her case, and we're going to show that all tomorrow. Now, we also know that tomorrow is actually the 2-year anniversary of our missing child. Just breaks your heart. We should not be Sebastian Wayne Drake Rogers. We should not still be looking at what in the world. But I want y'all to. I don't talk about this much, but I really do want y'all to go watch Crime Time Buzz tomorrow at noon. No, is it noon? Either noon or 1 o'clock. She showed something today. If you missed the beginning of my live, it's at the beginning of my live. But she showed something today about a picture that was turned into the FBI. It was about 10 months after he went missing. But I'm telling you, it's the only picture I have seen the entire 2 years now that I would say that's Sebastian Wayne Drake Rogers. She's going to talk about this tomorrow on her show. Please go check it out. I don't drop a lot of channel names. I don't think about it. I always forget to do it. But please go watch that, because it's so. I really think that it's a really good hit, and I don't know what happened in that case, in that particular picture that was turned over to the FBI, but it was turned over. So please go check that out tomorrow for Sebastian Wayne Drake Rogers. I know that the Seth's going to do something tomorrow. It's not a celebration because he's not home. It's not a celebration. It's just the anniversary of his 2 years that he's been missing. I know they're doing something over there tomorrow in Tennessee. It's going to be live. I know a lot of the creators that we like to watch will be there in support of Seth and Sebastian Wayne Drake Rogers. It saddens me to no ends that we are still looking for this child. It makes me sick. This should have never happened. I don't know. I mean, I'm not going to say anything bad about anybody. I'm not going to blame anybody. I don't know what happened. I was not there, but I do know we've seen a lot of information come out about Sebastian. Some not good. Some of it's been just awful. Some of these things have been said should have never been said. Some of this blame game, some of all of that should have never happened, but it did. It did not help find this child. In fact, I think a lot of it hurt this case. I mean, the biggest hurt of this case, and a lot of people will get upset with me. I'm sorry, but it's okay if you disagree with me. It really is. But I think that At Night messed this case up. I think that At Night started a lot of problems that should have never started. As we have tracked and went on and on and on, you've all had a chance to go investigate At Night. You see what they are. They're not anything they said they were, are they? So anyway, sadly, tomorrow makes 2 years. This child has been gone. It is disgusting. It is disturbing. And I really wish that we weren't here. I wish we were here talking about him being found, not us talking about him still being gone at 2 years. So everybody, please pray for Seth. Please pray for Sebastian to be found. Please go watch all the events tomorrow and celebrate. Well, it's not a celebration, but in the anniversary of him being missing for 2 years. I know there's been a lot of work put into different people doing different things in honor of Sebastian Wayne Drake Rogers. So just think about that. Say some prayers. I'm going to call it a day. We'll see y'all tomorrow at 2:30 to discuss our Madison McDonald case and talk about what she did. She's one of the ones that really is mentally ill. She's not pretending. She really was mentally ill. Look, I got ink on my hand. How about that? Anyway, she really was mentally ill. So that'll be interesting. I'll see y'all tomorrow. Please be careful out there. Please stay safe. And like I always say, go hug your babies. Life is short, and your time you get to spend with them is even shorter. This empty nest thing has been hard for me. You all know it. I talk about it all the time. I saw him today. But anyway, I'll see y'all tomorrow. Please be safe out there. Night, night. Thanks for coming by. And I always forget to say this. If you get a chance, please hit that like button or that thumbs up on your way in or on your way out. Leave a comment. If you don't like what we talked about today, it's okay. We'll talk about something you will like at some point. You know how to contact me. See you guys later. Bye. My face is so sunburned now.